If you're thinking about buying a new truck, you're kind of in the sweet spot right now. October through January 1st, that's kind of the time to buy. Dealerships and manufacturers are looking to get rid of this inventory and get it off the books before the end of the year. I've got several tactics I use to get a better deal on this 2026 Ram Rebel. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it in this video. So on this 2026 Ram Rebel Canyon Lake color, here's the sticker price for it. So the total price, total MSRP with all of the included options is $68,250. That's with the level 1 equipment group, the utility pack in the bed, the decal delete, 33-gallon fuel tank, trailer brake controller, and destination charge. Now I get it, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody wants to spend this kind of money on a truck, but there are lower trim levels, and I think you can apply the same percentages, same logic that I'm going to show you in this video. So for this truck, I paid about $57,000 plus tax. It's not the best deal in the world, but it's a pretty good deal considering the last 2 to 3 years of prices on these trucks. A lot of people pay more. There's been a few people I've seen that have paid a little less than I did. Now for me, it was worth just not wasting my time. This was just negotiating a couple times over email and text message. So if you go back and do the math on this, my Ram's MSRP was $68,285. I paid about $57,000 plus tax. That's about 84% of MSRP, at least other than Toyota for trucks. For Ram, GM, Ford, I think that you can probably get about 15 to 17% off roughly MSRP, no matter what the trim level. Now, Toyota's a little different. I'll go over that in a minute. Now, you could use websites like Edmunds or CarEdge, but what I've found on most of these websites is that they're not quite as accurate as what I can get by just offering an amount. So I think you can just kind of cut to the chase. Don't waste any more time. Take the MSRP, just find what like 85% of the MSRP value is, and use that as your starting point or your offer point. You want to set the anchor price lower. So you don't want to start at a price and then keep trying to come down. You want to start as low as possible and then maybe have to come back up in the deal. Because dealerships, if you start agreeing on a price, they're not going to just keep going down. But if you set a price really low, they will want you to potentially come up to something. And I'll show you some proof of this. So on this truck, I actually offered them like $53,000. And the guy texted me back and said, well, that's $4,000, at least $4,000 below invoice. So then I knew kind of what invoice was. So that's the first thing. Find out what 85, 83% of MSRP value is on the vehicle. That's going to be your starting point. All right, now the second tip that I have from October to January is this is a really good time of year to pick up leftovers from last year. Ram is a perfect example. They have massive discounts on the 2025s. So as you can see here, these are 2025 Bighorns with the Hurricane engine. They're $46,773 for the 2025s. Now, if I jump up to the 2026, at least in Colorado, where prices are a little higher, we're at like $49,198. So maybe a $4,000 premium. Now, if you're someone that isn't going to keep this car for 10 years and you don't need a 100,000 mile warranty, then maybe the 2025 is actually a better deal. Now, this goes for all brands. You're going to see these leftover cars. They're going to be discounted anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 lower. A good example on this Rebel, I noticed in some of the Facebook groups, for basically the same truck, just a 2025, so it doesn't have the 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty, some people were paying about $51,000 to $52,000 for a 2025. So you kind of have to ask yourself, is it really worth the warranty to pay that premium for a 2026? Now, I wanted this specific color, which was only 2026. That's kind of where it was for me. You can save a lot of money just looking at the leftovers this time of year. Another thing to pay attention to, you're going to get a better deal on what there's the most stock of. So for example, right here on this left side, you'll see there's 68 Bighorns. This is within 75 miles of my zip code. There's 92 Laramies, 46 Limiteds, and then 119 Rebels. So actually, near me, the Rebels are discounted more than some of the lower trims because there's more in stock. There's more competition for the Rebel right now, at least in my local area. Now, some areas aren't like that. There might be more Bighorns or more Laramies. It just depends on the area. Now, here's an additional sanity check that I think everybody should do. So right now I have it set to 75 mile range. The reason I like using a website like cars.com or TrueCar or whatever, they aggregate a bunch of dealerships together, and the dealerships kind of fight for the lowest price. So you don't have to do a lot of negotiation and haggling. You're really seeing kind of those bottom dollars because they want to float to the top of that list when you sort by lowest price. So I'm going to switch this. Instead of being 75 miles, I'm going to go all miles. And once I switch that to all miles from my zip code, I'm starting to see 2025 Bighorns instead of 46,000 in Colorado, they're 36,000, 38,000, 39,000. A lot lower price if I expand my search. Now, I'm not going to drive there or fly there to get these vehicles. You might want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a negotiation tactic, and I'm going to understand that if I can find a like-equipped vehicle, something that's equipped with almost the same exact equipment as what I'm looking at locally, I can use this and talk to my dealership locally and use it as a bargaining tool and say, hey, look, can you get closer to this? Because if they can sell it for that, then I know my local dealer can probably get pretty close. Another example here with General Motors. I'm looking at 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 elevations. They're 46,430 near me. But if I expand my search and I go nationwide, now I'm looking at Ohio, they're 40,823. Now these are pretty highly rated dealers. Sometimes they're just talking about lease deals and incentives, but it's a pretty drastic difference when you expand your search. If you're in an affluent area, look outside that area. You're going to get better deals and use that as a negotiation tactic. Now, here's the next tip, and I think this is probably the most important one, and it's being patient and actually being kind to the dealerships. So when I reach out to maybe 5 to 10 dealerships, I send them all the same template, tell them the same price I want, that 15%, 17% below MSRP, and then I tell them what my credit is. I'm not worried about anything but the price of their vehicle. I don't want to hear about payments. I don't want to hear about any extras. I want to know the price plus tax. That is it. So you're super nice to them. The next step, and the most important, is to wait. So you give them your offer, and what they'll typically do is come back with a little bit higher offer, and they want to see if you're really serious or not. Now, this is what usually happens. After you wait a day or two, this is a text that I receive days after my initial text messages to these dealers. Ron here, the manager at Christopher's Ram. This is actually where I bought my truck. He reached back out days later and said, what do we need to do to get this deal over the finish line? And that's the language I'm looking to hear from a dealer. I'm looking to hear that they actually want to do a deal. Now, maybe 2 out of 5 to 8 dealerships or something that I contacted actually reached back out to me, and it was the end of the month. They wanted to make a deal, and once they reached back out, then I know that I'm probably going to be working with that dealership. I'm probably going to get the best deal. I responded and told them, hey, I'm just trying to get between 55 and 56K, so we ended up landing on 57. Previous to this, I think the lowest price they had was like 59 or something. So we'd kind of come to an agreement, and it was good enough for me. They're still making money. Everybody's happy. So remember, whether you make your offer over the phone or text or in person, go home, think it over for 24, 48 hours. There's plenty of vehicles on lots. You don't have to rush to buy something. Let them call you back. I had Toyota dealers calling me back for multiple days, asking what they could do to get me into a Tundra. That almost has never happened in the past 3 years. Things are changing. I think it's a buyer's market. So we now have a couple months left in the year. So you've got all the way until the end of November and the end of December this year. That's when you're going to see these dealerships really want to give you a better deal. This deal specifically, you can see October 27th is when they reached back out to me. They knew that Halloween was coming up on the weekend, on Friday, the end of the month and the end of the year combined. And with tariffs and everything else on the horizon, right now there's a sweet spot of stock on trucks. You can pretty much have your pick of any trim. Now it's harder to find a reliable vehicle, but at least there's a lot of stock. There's a lot of incentives right now, good financing deals, and the prices are coming down. And look, right now, there are a lot of deals. Ram's offering a lot of incentives, whether it's APR or cash back. Also, GMC 2026 Sierra 1500 elevation with a Turbo Max 0% for well-qualified buyers. Ford's offering some deals as well, although they're more bragging about their lease deals. They do have 0% term APR financing, 0 down on the 2025s. Now, in in my neck of the woods, the Ford dealers didn't seem like they were struggling to really sell, and they didn't have as many incentives as GM or Ram or even Toyota. They didn't seem like they were trying as hard. Let's get back to Toyota. Some of my viewers might recognize this Tundra. It was in my video with the test drive. And this is actually the best deal I could get them to agree to, $62,070 for this Tundra Limited 2026, MSRP $66,000. So for Toyota, you're really going to struggle unless you get into the upper, really more expensive trims like the 1794 edition or Platinums or Capstones. You're really going to struggle to get more than like 93% of MSRP as your discount. That's just kind of traditionally how Toyota has been. It's part of why they hold their value is they just don't discount trucks quite as much up front. Now the Tundras actually don't have too bad of financing deals. 2.99% for 72 months on the 2026. 2025s, they have decent leases. The 2025s are offering 0.99% for 72 months. So really good financing. You will find better deals on the 2025 Tundras as well across the country. So make sure you drive them all. Don't go pick just based on price. When I went out and drove all of the trucks back to back in test drives, I noticed all sorts of things that I didn't think about. The vision, the seating position, it's all dependent on your height, your weight, all sorts of things. So make sure you lay your hands and your feet in the truck before you really make any decisions. Don't do everything from home or a spec sheet. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other negotiation tips, leave them in the comments for people below. I do have some other negotiation videos that go much more into detail if you really want to spend tons of time on it. I just wanted to give people a really quick and dirty way on offering dealerships an amount and maybe getting to a spot that was doable for them without wasting a bunch of time going back and forth. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Till next time.